to use collapsible sippy.
Archive them all on YouTube.
I mean, probably.
There appears to be at least one non-me viewer.
Oh, hello! Welcome to my channel. Today I am making drop biscuits. They are the easiest of all the biscuits to make. In my opinion, anyways. Because I decided I wanted biscuits to go with my soup today. But I didn't want to go through the hullabaloo of having to roll out the biscuit dough and cut out the shapes and all that other bullshit. Drop biscuits is basically like the name implies. Biscuit dough that you drop onto your baking sheet. A+ in my book. Now that I've sliced up my butter fairly thin, it'll be easier to cut it into the dough. But I'm putting it back in there so it stays nice and cold. Because if it's soft, it's gonna, I don't know, it's gonna fuck something up, that's all I know. Alrighty. And then they immediately left the chat. I've scared off the viewers. Get out of my video. Weak of heart. You're weak. My flour, my baking powder, cheese, goat milk. Goat milk with tasty milk. Let's see, how many scoops? How many scoops? 2 scoops to make 1 cup of milk. I'm looking at this and I think I'm just going to dump the powder. That looks like about 2 scoops. About 2 scoops worth in there. Yep, okay. Thank you. Wait a minute, that's not right. I need you at 450, not 445. Bullshit. There we go. Alright. Now to add a cup of water. And now I'm going to get to tiny whisk. Tiny whisk. Finger for scale, tiny whisk. And then I'm just going to incorporate the powdered milk into the water, get it nice and hydrated. Get all of the clumps out. Close my drawer. Alright. And I'm not just making any drop biscuits. I've decided I wanted to add cheese and herbs to my biscuits. They're very versatile in that manner. And a big wooden spoon for mixing and beatings. Alright, so first we're going to mix together all of our dry ingredients. Starting with all-purpose flour. Classic, it does so many things, it's versatile. It's basically the all-terrain assault vehicle of the baking world. And I would be using my 1 cup scoop, but it's dirty from me making pancakes earlier today. So half scoop it is. And I also dirtied my 1/4 scoop as well, because of pancakes. And then that's our 2 cups of flour. Stay. I'm going to refrain from adding the sugar until I start adding in our liquids because I'm going to be adding in honey. So we're going to have like goat milk and honey biscuits. Hella classic, delicious, num num num. I'm going to actually give my goat milk a hefty squeeze of honey. Mix that in. Alright, continuing on with our dry ingredients. 3 teaspoons baking powder. I suggest that you get the kind without aluminum in it, if you can. I have found that baking soda with aluminum in it is like super cakey for whatever reason and like clumps. And so you get like really bitter, like salty, bitter tasting products because you have these like lumps of baking powder in it, and it's just fucking nasty, so I don't get the aluminum kind anymore because of that. And then 1 teaspoon salt. That was the one ingredient I forgot to grab. I'm going to measure it away from the bowl just in case it just decides to pour out. Don't want a ton of salt in here. There we go. And then I'm just going to give that a quick stir. Alright. Now I'm going to go and get our cold butter. And the way I'm going to be cutting in the butter into our drop biscuit dough is by using this thing. So this looks like a typical masher, but instead of having like wires strung across here, it's solid, like really thick metal instead of wires. Come over here and show it off. So this will be the best for cutting butter, cold butter, into your biscuit dough. It's super solid and will not yield to the butter's bullshit. So we're just gonna dump them in there. Flip, flip, flip. Flip, flip. Flip, flip, flip. And you want to handle it with your hands for the least amount of time as possible. Once again, you don't want it to melt or anything. So give that a good coating, and then just start mashing it in there and cutting your butter in. And once you have like pea-sized pieces consistently throughout, no bigger. So like about the size of a pinky nail, a little smaller, in case you don't have peas on hand. Hopefully people have their pinky nails. If not, I profusely apologize. I don't know what else to describe the small size as off the top of my head. I'm sure if I was given a moment to think about it, I could come up with something. But for now, I've got pea-sized and pinky fingernail-sized. All right. We are getting there. All right, I'm gonna call that good. Don't know if you can see it better. Oh, fucking gravity. So like a little lumpy looking. Boy, butter, get out. There we go. I want all the butter. All right, next we are going to add our milk and honey. And here we have goat milk and honey. It's a classic ancient flavor combo. I am quite fond of it myself. And we just dump it in. And try to... There's some... There we go. I had some stuck in the crevasses there. As much as I love this measuring cup, sometimes it's a little bit of a bitch with dry ingredients. All right. And then you just give this a little stir. Until everything is nice and fully incorporated. So yeah, you're going to end up with a really sticky dough like this. Don't worry, this is where you want to be. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a little bit of parsley for a lovely green color. Just pretty little green speckles throughout. And then I think I want to add about 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. And I've got the Parmesan flakies here, the shaved blend. For salads and more, it says. So I'm just going to take a hefty rounded scoop. That's 1/2 cup scoop. Nah, fuck. Well, one of the animals will be by to help with that. And then there is the second scoop of the 1/2 cup. And then we're just going to just strong arm it all in until we've got a nice, evenly combined mix. Oh, I might... No, don't do it. Don't do it. Trust your instincts. This is fine. Okay. I do believe that is reasonably incorporated. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to just start dropping it on the pan. If you don't have a silicone baking sheet or one of these pan liners or something like that, you're going to want to really grease the shit out of your baking pan for this next step. So for drop biscuits, you scoop it and you drop it. If you don't have a large scoop like this, 2 spoons works the same. I just prefer this method because I like consistency in size, but there's literally no harm, no foul with using spoons. It's literally how my mama made them growing up. She would get 2 spoons together, fill one, and then use the second one to scrape it out. And I'm making them this large in particular because they're not like regular biscuits. They're not gonna... There's gonna be like some puffage, but there's not gonna be like a lot of height, if I remember correctly. I haven't made these in quite some time. I'm very excited because I've loved them every time I made them. These have like a lot of like childhood memories for me. Some of my favorite memories were rainy days home from school. My mom would make a huge pot of tea, And it was always the same kind. She puts lemon and honey in her tea, and that's how I do it because it's how I grew up with it. And I always felt a little weird being in the South, and everyone has sweet tea, but they don't have lemon and honey tea. And I personally find it to be very soothing and delicious. But she would make this huge pot of tea, and she'd make a sheet of these drop biscuits. And sometimes she'd put cheese in them, sometimes they'd just be regular drop biscuits. And we would cozy up together and read whatever books we were reading at the time. So basically whatever I last got from the Scholastic Book Fair. And her probably either a technical manual or Dune or Lord of the Rings or whatever sci-fi book she has managed to get her hands on at the time. So that's how we would spend those rainy afternoons. We would be all warm and cozy with our pot of tea, a plate of these drop biscuits, and our books and each other for company. And they were just honestly some of my best childhood memories right there, were those times spent together. So these are, like, a lot of people talk about, like, their childhood recipes growing up, and it's usually, like, mac and cheese or a type of pasta or lasagna or something. Me, it was these drop biscuits were the best things I had growing up. They were so good. It seems I've got some dough left over, not much, so I'll get out a second pan and get the few last stragglers on there, and then they can go in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. But yeah, the cold weather we've been having recently, and I made another thing from my childhood that I'll talk on a little bit more here in a minute. Literally, just one scoop. One scoop. You couldn't manage to fit the one scoop onto the plate, the pan. Just a little smack in the middle. So yeah, the cold weather just has me yearning for these biscuits. I might end up distributing them a little bit more so they have some room to breathe. Yeah, that looks about good. Now, my mom has said that these can be made with olive oil. I have no idea about that because I am a staunch butter user in this case. And of course, you could probably use a milk substitute. You could probably use different flour substitutes. This is just what I personally use in my kitchen. I'd be willing, maybe not today, but perhaps in another stream, demonstrate using different kinds of sugar, flour, and fat alternatives. Maybe not all at the same time, because God knows what kind of monstrosity that would create, but replacing the ingredients one at a time until I feel a little bit more confident and comfortable about it. All right, timer time. We're going to go for the full 12 minutes. Oh, just for fuck's sakes. There we go. The timer on my microwave, I feel like I need to just punch it. Just punch shit out of it, because otherwise it just doesn't listen to me. Alright. Going to hydrate, dehydrate at the same time, because that's how alcohol works. Oven light. Alright, going to put my cold stuff, aka my cheese, back in the fridge. And then I can talk to y'all about hot pot. Where is the hot pot? Oh my god, it's all the way back there. Okay. So, times have been tough. Yes, Ambrose, times have been tough. Yes. Groceries are a bitch. And they were a bitch growing up too sometimes. So another thing that my mother has passed down to me other than this drop biscuit stuff is she called it slop when I was growing up. And then I didn't like the name at all growing up. You're not feeding us pig food, Mom. Don't call it slop. So eventually I started calling it hot pot, unknowing at the time there was an actual Japanese cuisine called hot pot. Had no idea, but I like this name better. So, hot pot is taking like 15 cans of various beans and vegetables and soups that you like, and putting it on a pot, making it hot pot. Very self-explanatory. And you can put cheese and like other additives, spices, whatever you want in there. But the point is that once you've got 15 cans of vegetables and soups and stuff, it makes a fuck ton of food. And being a hungry child growing up, this was the best damn thing ever because leftovers for days. And it was super filling because my mom, of course, added a fuck ton of beans, and beans are protein. So it would be super filling with not having a whole lot of it. So I know it doesn't look particularly appetizing to some folks, but if you're tired of having rice and beans or ground meat and noodles or whatever you're doing to get through these times, I'd suggest giving this a try. It's plentiful, it's warm, and it goes really good with drop biscuits. For this particular one that I made, it was like 32 or 16 ounce can of crushed tomatoes, 4 total cans of beans, 2 black, 2 red kidney beans, and I kept the juice from those cans, put it in there because they were seasoned, and I was like, oh, that sounds really good. There's also diced tomatoes, peas, corn, a can of vegetarian vegetable because my body hates beef and will violently riot if I have beef, so I just don't. And a can of cheddar cheese soup. And I think I also added 2 cans of canned chicken. You can add another kind of protein if you don't particularly like chicken. You can add that ground beef I was talking about, ground turkey. You can put in tuna. Basically, whatever cheap protein you can get your hands on, it'll go in this. It'll go in it. But I didn't want to do like a full stream based on hot pot because it's just literally opening cans upon cans upon cans of food and dumping it in a pot. That's just it. And then, of course, what cans you use, it all really comes down to preference. I personally love beans. I love good chili, so hot pot is just right up my alley. Other people might not like a chewy texture. I don't know what to tell you other than to throw some Cheez-Its or Ritz crackers or something on top to give it some crunch. But yeah, that's pretty much hot pot. Beginning to end, open cans of food that you think you'll like. Drain some, don't drain others. Put it in a pot, heat it up. Hot pot. And of course you can season it however you like to. I typically like a saltier hot pot, but I have a higher salt tolerance than most people in my family. So I don't salt the main pot. I only salt my bowl. I also like putting cayenne pepper or hot sauce or something in it to give it some kick. But it's very tasty and once again very filling and goes good with biscuits, dropped or otherwise. Speaking of the Biscuies, let's give them a little look-see. Oh, Lord, they puffin'. Oh, they thick. Like you, Ambrose. You're a thick little boy. Not gonna give Ambrose any bananas today. Sorry, y'all know Banana Boy. Because he had an upset tummy recently. So I don't want to upset it further. by accidentally giving my obligate carnivore more bonans. You look like you're wearing baggy pajamas, boy. I'm assuming the one viewer is still... Is you.
There was a second one for a while there.
Yeah, they dipped out. I don't know what's going on.
Slow night.
It is a slow night, but that's fine.
Yep. I've noticed the videos in the archives definitely get pretty good views.
Oh, that's good.
The cookies one has had 44 views.
Oh, wow.
So.
Wow. Why did I put the hot pot away? I'm gonna have some with my biscuits, which are smelling amazing. You can really smell the goat milk and honey and Parmesan. It is delicious.
I thought about waiting to have my hot pot, but I was like, I will be cranky if I do
You're gonna
that.
be you would better